What's going on, YouTube? Winnie P dropping in. We're going to talk some boxing. Got a big fight coming up. Taking a closer look. Part 3. Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. Taking a closer look. Part 3. Yes, I'll leave part 1 and part 2 in the description. We taking a deep dive, deep analysis. I love my boxing. And I'll start with Terence Crawford. I talk about what I feel like these guys will do, in the fight and what they have to do in order to have success. And I'll start with Terence Crawford since I started with Canelo Alvarez in part 2. I actually think Terence Crawford in this fight, he's actually going to stand his ground early. Yes, because a lot of people feel like, he's coming up in weight. He's going to use the ring, be moving around a lot, which I think he will do at, certain points during the fight. But I think he's actually going to stand his ground early. What do I mean by that? He's going to fight in the middle of the ring at times. Definitely early in the fight, because in big fights like this, when you have pound for pound guys and top guys, you have to earn your respect early in a variety of ways. And this is one of the ways he's definitely going to have to earn his respect, because Canelo already think he's going to be running around and moving. So I think he's going to actually do the opposite. He's going to stand his ground, and I think he will eventually, start using the ring, using different angles and moving around. But I think he was going to stand his ground early. Yes, Bud Crawford, because he has to gain Canelo respect one way or another. And I think that's one way from a psychological standpoint he can gain his respect. Because one thing that Canelo Alvarez did against Triple G in the second fight that threw everybody off, because Triple G had Canelo on the back foot in the first fight. Canelo had Triple G on the back foot in the second fight, and he gained Triple G's respect from the jump, because he showed Triple G he wasn't going anywhere. So even from a psychological standpoint, that plays out. That works. That works. I'm not saying Crawford can do that to Canelo and actually push him back the entire fight, but Canelo Alvarez he threw everybody off by pushing Triple G back. Majority of that fight in the second fight, 70-80% of that fight, he pushed Triple G back. Canelo Alvarez, he was on the front foot, because the first fight, Triple G had Canelo on the back foot. So I look for Crawford to actually try to gain respect early by standing his ground. And I look for Canelo Alvarez, what he do to have success. He's gonna, they're gonna say Crawford gonna be moving, using his legs. How do you chop them legs off? Look for Canelo Alvarez to go to Crawford's body, because he's the bigger fighter, so he don't have to do power shots. He can tap him to the body, because he's still gonna feel him, because Canelo Alvarez, he's a power puncher, and even his shots that's not necessarily with all his strength, you still gonna feel it. And we seen Canelo Alvarez stop guys with body shots. At one point, he was, when he used to have more volume, he used to be one of the best body punchers in the game. Him and like Errol Spence Jr., they were the body snatchers. Canelo Alvarez and Errol Spence Jr. So look for Canelo Alvarez to, tap Crawford to the body to, slow him down early, because he know what he's been through it before with Lara, things like that. So he went to Lara body. That's how he started to slow Lara down. He started going to his body. So look for him to do that early to take them legs away from Crawford. So I look for Canelo Alvarez to go to that body early, and we're gonna take a closer look, deep dive. Each week I give a, closer look. This was part 3. I leave part 1 and part 2 in the description, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I call this shit right down the middle. These boxers don't pay me. If they pay me, I'll start being biased. But until the end, I'm gonna call this shit right down the middle. That's what I do. I love the sport. So comment, like, subscribe. What y'all think about, the breakdown analysis. This is part 3. Comment, like, subscribe. Let's share the video. If you're entertaining, hit that cash up, baby. Talk some boxing. We're gonna knock another one out. Bow, bow, bow. Let's get it.